Chapter 8, Part 2. A short while passed before Kurapika returned. Noting that you were back in your casual clothes, shopping bag in hand. Clearly Neon had refused to take no for an answer on the generous dress purchase. He could even see the slight fractals of guilt lingering upon your features. If he didn't know you so well, it would have been too subtle to pick up on. "Oh, hey, Pika." He nodded to acknowledge you and turned to Melody. "Sorry for my prolonged absence."
"Don't worry," she replied. "You didn't miss anything exciting."
"What did you get?" you asked him, wondering why he returned empty-handed.
Oh, nothing. They, didn't have what I was looking for."
Melody tilted her head quizzically at him, but remained silent. It was then that your bubbly young shopping partner popped into your sights once more.
"Shoot time?"
Yeah, sure." You reluctantly agreed, knowing she had spent far too much on you already. Still, you couldn't help but be grateful. "Say, why don't you go on ahead and pick some things out for me? You have a better eye for that stuff than I do."
"Okie dokie."
And with that she ran down the hall to the next shop. Squalla had to stumble to catch up with her.
"It's compassionate of you to play along like this."
Kurapika gifted you a small but appreciative smile, and you couldn't help but avert it out of embarrassment. Like the intuitive young man he was, he caught on to your shift in behavior instantly. And after a moment of silence, the blonde's curiosity got the better of him.
"Forgive me if I'm reading the room wrong, but did you two talk about me while I was gone?"
Oodles,"
Melody chimed jovially, brushing past you and saving you from becoming ensnared in Kurapika's verbal web.
"All truly terrible things."
"I should have expected as much,"
Kurapika quipped back with a smile. You smiled too. It was nice that Melody was becoming comfortable enough to jest with you both. You had taken at least 3 to 5 strides before you noticed your dear partner in crime had stopped, dead in his tracks. Melody had noticed first, the immediate and violent disturbance in the blonde's heartbeat.
"What's wrong, Kurapika?"
Melody's gentle question fell upon deaf ears, and Kurapika gripped your arm so harshly it caused you to take a sharp inhale. He didn't let up until you followed his fixed gaze across the plaza. "I don't believe it." Salvatore Gambino, your prime potential tie to the Spiders, was standing right in front of you, mere meters away at the entrance to a glittering timepiece shop. 2 other large men, clearly his bodyguards, stood on either side of him. Before you and Kurapika could formulate a plan, the 3 of them began walking down the large picturesque hall in your direction, Salvatore in the middle. This was an astronomical encounter, and the 2 of you had no idea how to respond. Granted, he was in town for the auction, so his presence in the city wasn't all that surprising. But without Neon's high-end status, such a confrontation would never have happened. It's not as if you'd have seen a man of his caliber in a normal department store.
"Traveler,"
he uttered low and serious, inches from your ear.
"I can't leave my post for another hour at least. Can you use your queen mosquito to track people?"
You grimaced apologetically. "Not past where my manipulative N can reach." You both looked away from the approaching men and lowered your voice. "But this is perfect for you, isn't it? You've seen him in real life now, so your dowsing chain can track him."
"That's the problem. My dowsing chain's condition requires physical contact or a verbal exchange."
"Shit!"
"Exactly."
The 3 unsuspecting men were getting closer. You were running out of time. "You have to make it settle, though, Pika. If he recognizes you later, we're in trouble. He'll know we're tailing him." Kurapika knew he couldn't just casually bump into him and pretend it was an accident. With bodyguards standing on either side of him, attempting a maneuver like that would be suspicious. Not to mention, dangerous. Calling out to him overtly would also draw the attention to your faces and disclose your identities. Another unacceptable outcome. Through clenched teeth he looked at you, knowing your bright mind must have been chewing on the same dilemma. "How do you suggest we proceed?" I want to follow them, but I can't leave right now. He scowled bitterly into the store, where Neon was having the privileged time of her young life.
Don't worry. I'll follow them and call you when I—
No! His grip tightened on your wrist. Stay here. I won't have you going alone again. His gentle words of concern were a stark contradiction to his appearance. Urgency was quite literally seething off Kurapika, and the three men had long since passed you. They were moments away from rounding the corner out of your sight.
I can hit him with my bite manipulation and try to make him ditch the guards.
That's risky. For safety's sake, we ought to assume the guards can use Gyo. He took one last manic glance at the target, and you knew in this desperate instance of ticking seconds, a swift hit-and-run attack was crossing Kurapika's mind. Before that volatile decision could be made, you conjured 3 mosquitoes and fired them, sending them darting around the corner. What are you doing? He hissed harshly at you, gripping you by both shoulders and squaring off, as if preparing to use himself as a human shield. You can't attack all 3 of them in public! I'm hiding the mosquitoes on their clothing until they reach the end of my range. You have until then to come up with a plan. What's the time frame? 5 to 8 minutes. On it. He paced the floor, biting his lip. It was clear that Melody had disappeared into the shoe store a while ago, but it was safe to assume that she probably heard most of the situation. 40 meters. What? Your comment startled Kurapika out of his deep contemplation. They're going to reach 50 soon. Already? They're walking fast. Damn it! He clenched his fists. Can you keep them in the area? I'll try. With that, you activated your manipulation, using the mosquitoes to bite all 3 of the large men. In an instant, their vision began to warp and change. You tried to keep it simple, a vision of the surroundings they were currently in, except they would notice the tire on their car was flat. Surely they'd call for assistance, which would buy you and Kurapika another 15 minutes, assuming you could keep them under your control for that long. Tricking the mind of 1 human was difficult, but 3? And at the very edge of your end's range? Well, that was proving to take a toll on your body. Your blonde counterpart already noticed you starting to sweat from exertion. Are you all right? Yeah, you grunted out with a strained voice. Just keeping something conjured for this long at this distance is difficult. Hang in there, traveler. He guided you to the nearest bench to sit down. Where'd you go? A sing-song voice rose to Kurapika's attention. Damn it, not now! He stepped in between you and Neon. I can't let her break Traveler's focus right now. Miss Nostrad! He halted her, and she gawked at him in shock. Traveler isn't feeling so well right now. Neon peered over the blonde's shoulder, noticing you staring at the ground with a white-knuckle grip on the bench.
But what's wrong with her?
Nothing you need to worry about right now. He tried to sound soft and genuine, but he knew he was coming off as robotic. She asked for you to set some things aside for her. I'm going to get her a drink, and she should be in to join you shortly.
Aww.
The girl pouted her lips in disappointment, but didn't raise a fuss at Kurapika's forceful concern.
Okay.
With that, she slumped her shoulders like an impudent child and moped back into the store. A plan was now forming in the young man's mind, though he didn't find it particularly creative. The only thing he could think of doing was to fire an insult. There's only one problem. Salvatore Gambino is a man of high standing. I'd have to tailor my offense very specifically. If I call out anything lowly or stupid, he'll consider it beneath him to respond to me. My words would go completely ignored. If I make it too personal, I'll likely have to take a fake beating from the guards, and then I might still not complete our objective. But then, how would he guess the perfect thing without revealing what he knew about the man? That he had been tracking him. No! What is it? Kurapika immediately knelt at your side when he heard your mumbled outburst. There's another one! And they're getting into the car! The blonde made an involuntary, indignant noise at your proclamation. A fourth associate, not under your control, had arrived to pick up the others faster than you anticipated. What? Bring them back! I couldn't let the final guard know they were being controlled, so I had no choice but to let them get in the car. Kurapika's eyes glowed furious behind his contacts, a void of black wreathed in hellfire. But just before he had the mind to jump to his feet and pursue, he saw you raise your arm, conjuring another mosquito. It was obvious to him that this one took far longer than usual to take shape and fire away. His gaze softened slightly at your form, which was now shaking from the strenuous overutilization of Nen. A few seconds of tense silence passed before you spoke up. Got him! Kurapika knew that meant you had taken control of the final victim, and let out a breath of relief. You're incredible, Traveler. He gripped your hand firmly between both of his. For once, he was waiting on your instruction, utterly relying on you to make this work. Unfortunately, you couldn't relish in the moment because of your heightened focus. 4 is too many at this range, Pika! At this point, it was all you could do to keep your vision from tunneling, and your subject's car from crashing. Immediately, his expression blazed with fierce determination. He pulled up his sleeve and displayed his forearm to you. Use your aura drain, he demanded. No, Pika. You forced your words out from behind clenched teeth. What if there's an altercation? You need your strength. Then just take what you need. We can't let them get away. Do it now, damn it! He could feel the uniform shape in your aura twisting and moving erratically. Before long, you'd lose control of your targets. Reluctantly, you obeyed, sucking out just enough of Kurapika's aura to maintain your manipulation. Is that enough? He questioned skeptically. Take more. No. I've managed to reroute them back here. You started to catch your breath as they neared your more comfortable range. They'll be coming down that corridor. You pointed to alert your partner. When they get close, I'll alter your appearance in their eyes so they don't recognize you when I release them. Got it. His brows furrowed as he turned in that direction, prepping himself to act the instant they came into sight and release you from the physical load. Shit! No! You stared up at Kurapika in despair. I lost them! I thought I could get them all the way here, but 2 of them fought hard against my manipulation the entire way! I think that must mean they're Nen users! You moved to stand beside him and prepare, but collapsed to your knees, panting and unable to stand. With all you had left to give, you tried to form one last mosquito. At the very least, you had to get Salvatore and mask Kurapika's face from him. I can't conjure anymore. You hung your head in defeat. I'm so sorry, Pika. No, I'm sorry I couldn't come up with a better plan. You saw him eyeing his surroundings, around, up, and down, before the quiet jingle of chains tickled your eardrums. Don't strain yourself any more. I'll handle this. There was a look of finality in his eyes. Wait, you begged. You couldn't let him do this. Being plumb drained of power like this, you'd become a huge liability to Kurapika. He could easily get hurt while trying to protect your helpless form. Not to mention the fact that you probably sapped a considerable amount of his aura reserves already just to get them here. I can't let him fight like this. There has to be a better way. The 4 men rounded the corner, looking just as powerful as they were confused. And it was in the light of this very human state that your next idea sparked. Hey, mister! Kurapika froze statue still when your voice echoed down the corridor to reach them. His jaw dropped in horror when you locked eyes with Salvatore. What happened to all the inconspicuous talk? That's a very nice suit you have there! Kurapika instantly caught onto your game and joined in, epiphany washing over him in a wave. Yes! Very dapper, sir! He blinked at the young couple before him in bewilderment, before a smile crept up the plump man's face. Why, thank you very much! Kurapika quickly waved and swept you off into the shop. You slumped against the wall in exhaustion. Does that count as a meeting? You gave Kurapika a tired smile, which he returned in full force. That was brilliant, traveler. He placed a gentle hand on the top of your head. It was an awkward sort of way to praise you, but you accepted it. Wish I'd thought of that earlier and spared you the effort. I wish you'd thought of it too. You chuckled. Kurapika? Huh? Could I have something to drink, please? Oh, of course. With that, the blonde scuttled out to the food court a short distance away. He had forgotten to ask what you wanted, but you figured he was smart enough to return with something replenishing in nature. You were proved right upon his swift return when he offered you a tasty smoothie. You gulped the first third of it greedily, even forgetting to thank him. The only reason you realized your lapse in manners was because you heard those words come from his mouth instead. Thank you again. For what? If you hadn't been there when they walked out of sight, I almost certainly would have made a rash decision. You need to have more faith in yourself, Pika. On shaky legs you managed to return to your feet, albeit with his assistance. He looked you up and down sympathetically. I'll get you home soon. Don't worry. He picked up the shopping bag that you had forgotten you dropped and slid it over his wrist. It was then he realized his own peculiar choice of words and corrected himself with a light shake of the head. The hotel, I mean. Kurapika internally cursed himself. When had he allowed his subconscious to slip into a comfortable little game of house? Did he have the heart to blame you for it? Of course not. This was his own weakness he needed to keep in check. He had to remind himself that his objective comes first, before all other things, especially after these recent events. Today had confirmed something he had been mentally wanting to avoid since this partnership began. How different the two of you really were. The entire time an easy and innocent solution sat, waiting to be seen. But he had been too focused on finding the right cruel remark to strike the perfect nerve. In that moment, he had been all too ready to turn to violence. Had his heart become too dark to spawn such a simple, non-confrontational solution? Contrary to his struggles, it seemed like it came naturally to you, almost effortless. How far had he already fallen from genuine moments like those? Kurapika couldn't help but wonder. And how much farther would he fall before this was over? Something wrong, Kurapika? You were quiet the whole drive home. You waited to ask until the elevator reached your floor, and the two of you were alone once more. Everything's fine. He stayed close to you since you left the mall, prepared to catch you should your gait waver. Finally, he helped you over to the bed, and you flopped on it with a contented sigh. Make sure you get some rest tonight, traveler. He took care to hang your dress up in the wardrobe so it wouldn't wrinkle, then draped a blanket over your fatigued frame. We make our move tomorrow. A grunt was all you could manage to acknowledge you heard him. Kurapika half smiled at your curled-up form, and gently sat down on the bed next to you, careful not to bounce it too much and disturb your rest. It was a treasure, wasn't it? To have someone that could compensate for one's shortcomings? This dangerous edge he was walking. He resolved that it was nice to let you pull him back from it. At least for now. To be continued. Man, this one was tough. This one about killed my voice, you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. There will be more.